How's it going, everyone? It's me, Miss Trans South Carolina 2024, Coco Dove, and thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Trans South Carolina Project. I know we missed a week, but we're back and we're ready to have a good time and tell you guys some stories. This week we are in Lexington, South Carolina, and we're sitting down and mingling with somebody who fights for trans rights all over the state, and their mission is to provide a safer, happier place for trans people to live within a world that hates them so much. So get ready to meet my next guest. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Today we are sitting down with Greg Green. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us and being willing to share your story. I know it's going to be eye-opening for a lot of people, and I know they're going to enjoy it. So thank you so much.
No problem. Glad to be here. Glad to be able to do this.
Yes, it's an awesome project. We've been getting really great reception so far. So you guys keep sharing these videos, keep liking, subscribing, all that good stuff, and get us more views, because the more views we get, the more interviews we can do. So, you ready?
Let's go.
All right. Before I start my interviews, I like to do a little speed round to break the ice.
Okay.
Mainly for me.
All right.
But you ready?
Speed round. Let's go.
All right. Just quick one-word answers if possible. Just
Okay.
as fast as we can go.
All right.
All right. What's your favorite color?
Baby blue.
Oh, all right. Favorite holiday?
My birthday.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Favorite food? I know it's the hard one. It's probably the hardest one.
Yeah. I like food way too much to pick a favorite.
All of it?
All of it.
Well, there you go. Favorite movie?
Ooh. Fifth Element.
I clocked that. You got those little sculptures.
I've got the stones.
We just watched that last night.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with the blue girl who does the opera. I always forget her name, but
yes.
I want to be her so bad. Who's your celebrity crush?
Ooh. I'll go current-ish. Yeah. Meg Stallion.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. I want to be her too. Oh
yeah.
What skill do you think everyone should have?
That's another tough one.
Yeah.
Because I think what makes the world go round is the fact that we all have different skills. So I can't.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Everybody's
always like rack their brain for that to pick an answer for that one, but I like that one the most so far.
Yeah.
And what is your idea of fun?
Ooh, partying with people that I trust.
That I trust. That part. You got to specify that last little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get into the what's the tea with the good questions and all the juicy stories, I'm going to take these earrings off because I feel like they are clinking too much. All right. You ready?
Let's go.
All right. So, are you from South Carolina originally?
I am. Born and raised.
How is that? How was your upbringing here in South Carolina?
Actually pretty good. I would say, looking back on things, I realized I had a very privileged life growing up. From what I can recall, everything was very stable in terms of housing. I only moved twice as a child, so that was pretty simple. From what I recall, we always had food. We had a good time. We had good connections with each other. So now looking back on certain things as an adult, I'm like, hey, I see folks are just making things work to make it work, but overall things were really good. Went to Brooklyn Casey High School, left there, went to college in Charleston, went to the Citadel, and just stayed in South Carolina the whole time. I wasn't sure why, but I'm starting to get into the why. I think I'm starting to understand the why.
I'm slowly getting there too. I used to resent how Southern I was for a very long time, and as I'm getting older, I'm starting to really love being honky tonk and down here. Like, there's just no place like South Carolina.
It's not. Amidst all the chaos and all the hot weather and heat and all of that, like you can go to the mountains on Monday and Tuesday, drive to the beach. Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
evening, Wednesday, you get to see so much nature. We have waterfalls. And just
Mm-hmm.
South Carolina is just a really beautiful state. And the cost of living, I mean, it's hard to beat as well. The
Yeah.
cost of living here is good. And I just have grown to really appreciate being in a space in a place where folks have their differences, but that southern hospitality still
Mm-hmm.
kind of comes through for the most part.
Oh yeah. If you go to somebody's house, you're gonna eat, even if you're not hungry.
That's
If
very
you just
true.
ate, you're still gonna eat.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Southern dish?
Southern dish. I'm gonna go with grits, which
Ugh.
because one, if anyone outside of the South tries to make grits, they're not great. And
No.
two, it's hard to find any outside of the South anyway.
Yeah.
So grits.
When you say shrimp and grits to somebody that's not from here, they're like, "What? What?"
Yeah.
They're mind blown, and I'm like, "No, no, no, girl, you gotta try it."
Exactly. Exactly.
So, when you started your transition, were you in South Carolina as well?
Yep. I was in South Carolina. I was actually working in law enforcement at the time.
Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
Chaos. Really understanding that's the step I needed to take for myself, what that was going to look like. Taking time to really, I guess, internally process that and like be prepared for all the what ifs
Mm-hmm.
that could occur, some
Yeah.
that did occur. Um, Things seemed to be kind of okay at work for a bit, but then they weren't. I started not socially transitioning, medically. I started medically transitioning. It was in 2011, and that was in February. By December, I was fired.
Because of your transition?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's been back and forth about was that the reason, was that not the reason? The core reason, and this is really into the the DEI work that I do and being able to try to see things from a broader lens. The core reason is South Carolina's a right to work state.
Yeah.
That's the core reason, right? So that thing would have to be changed for there to be lasting change in how people are responding to people's identities and things like that. So they came up with some other reasons, but
Of course,
that was the reason.
they're gonna cloak it with something.
Yeah.
I have a similar experience. When I started my transition, I worked at Walmart. I
Mm.
was a gun salesman,
Okay. All
and I
right.
told them I was gonna start living this way, and they were like, "You can't do that here." And they slowly just started taking me off the schedule and wouldn't tell me why I wasn't on the schedule. And you know,
And that
it
was
just
it.
happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I was I was crushed really,
Yeah, law
because
enforcement is something that it's not something you just apply for like Walmart. That's something that
yeah, that
a
was
lot of
supposed to be
people
my
look forward
career.
to. Yeah,
That was supposed to be my career, and then I didn't have like a different plan. Like,
you didn't
oh
have a
no, if this
backup.
doesn't work, what am I going to do? And so that really bothered me a lot. Sorry about that. Which I'll never have that up. But that's something that really bothered me for a while, and then I got over it and figured out how can I continue to help the community in other ways, because that was the reason that I wanted to be a police officer. I wasn't like, oh, I got a badge, look at me. Like I wasn't that kind of cop at all. I was very much so a community police officer, connecting with people, um, and just making sure people knew and understood what their rights were, what the laws were, and the myths of, well, I've always been told I can't do this thing, or like, like you can't drive barefoot. And I'm like, oh, is that really a thing? Like, let's have a conversation about it. Like, this is why it's not safe, but I don't want to see it anywhere, right? So
Yeah,
I was really into making sure folks understood what really existed and why, what was the reason for it.
I drive barefoot all the time.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right,
It's
good. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. So, regarding your community work, I know you do a lot for the trans community
hmm
here. I know you are the executive director and co-founder of the Transgender Awareness Alliance. So,
Yeah.
how did that come about?
So, well, first, we actually just had a change of positions. And
Okay,
so the executive director position now belongs to T. Joseph. So they're going to be the executive director now for this next period of our
okay,
organization. But what really happened was when I started my transition, again, I was in law enforcement.
hmm
So I knew the courtroom. I wasn't, courtrooms didn't scare me.
yeah.
The average person is not like, oh, the courtroom, this is easy. Like, that's
Yeah,
not
you walk in and
everyday
your
people.
anxiety is
Is like through the roof, right? And so when it started, comes with name changes, when I did my name change, and I had somebody from the community say, "Hey, can you help me out? What did you do?" And I was like, "Well, here's what I did." And we talked about it. I talked them through it. We shared documents, and then they went and got their name changed. It worked. I was like, "Great." And I just started doing stuff like that. When I got my gender marker changed, same thing. How did you do it? Here's what I did. You can try it too. Because I did a lot of stuff on my own. I didn't have an attorney for anything. Like I said, I was pretty okay with court. I understood court documents to an
Mm-hmm.
extent, and I just gave it a try. And so once you kind of start helping people with their name change and their gender marker change, and then, hey, do you have any affirming clothes? Like, want to do this or I want to do that. And at the time, I was really connected with a lot of trans guys, and so kind of like the same size. So kind of like the same size in some ways. And so I was like, hey, well, I've got a few extra shirts and jeans if you want to see if these work for you. And that's how it started. And then it was like, hey, I've got to get to a doctor's appointment. I don't have a ride and I don't drive. You think you could take me? Like, yeah, sure, no problem. One of us can do that, either me or my spouse. Somebody can do that. And so we just started. That's really
Just doing the
literal.
right
That's
thing.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it, right? Somebody needed help. We had availability and we helped them. That was it. I worked at the time after law enforcement. My next like more stable job was FedEx, and so that was a night gig. So I had pretty much had all day. Like, okay, I can help people during the daytime, as long as I make it to FedEx by this time. And so that's all I was doing, just helping people. And then at some point, it was like we should put a name to this. We should do something so we can get more money for this. And so we applied for our nonprofit status and started doing it that way, so that folks who wanted to help us help the cause could get that tax write off, because that's what some people need that or want that, and some people are like, I just want to help. I just want to be able to help
Yeah.
y'all. And so that's really how it came about, just doing the work and then deciding, let's put a name on it, let's do something.
Have you felt like a rewarding sense of, I don't know how to describe it, like a sense of, oh, I did that.
um Sometimes, but it's not that's not why we do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So there are random times where we're recognizing community for doing things. I'm like, wow, somebody actually realized we did that. Okay, cool. I like that. Like, that does feel good, but it's not like community awards are given out. We're like, oh man, they missed us or they didn't bring us up or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter to me. The only thing that we ever did try to get into, I think, at one point was the free times when they do the
Hmm.
organizations or something. I tried to put us in a category one year, but it the reward comes from the folks who know they can count on us.
Yeah,
When they come back and say, hey, y'all helped me out, and maybe they need more help at a different time, a different type of help, or maybe they're at a good space and they're like, I want to now help out. I want to now volunteer because you guys did stuff for me. How can I help y'all? Like, that part is where I feel most like rewarding.
I love that.
Yeah.
And anybody watching, how can they get more involved if they're wanting to lend a hand in any
So
way?
on our website, which is taagg.org, um, if you go to, oh man, it's at the top of our page where it lists all the things that we do. So our different services. There's a volunteer form, and then there's a form for if you need any assistance. So we have both forms linked on our website. Again, that's taagg.org. And whether you want to volunteer, if you're interested in potentially being on the board, we're actually getting ready to open up that for board members as well. And even if you just want to be an advisor, because we have like an advisory committee or an advisory board for folks when we have any medical questions. We have folks that work within medical field. We can ask them stuff. When folks have different expertise, then we reach out to them as advisors for those things. So whether it's a volunteer for events, an advisory position, a board position, or again, if anyone actually needs any assistance, all of those forms. It's two forms, and both of them are on our page.
Love it. Y'all check that out. I know a lot of you guys have been asking questions about this kind of stuff, so check it out, give them some attention, and see what you guys can find out.
Yeah.
So, aside from all that good stuff we just talked about, when you were going through your transition
Mm-hmm.
here in South Carolina, did you have any ups and downs aside from your job?
Um, So I would say that was really a fresh start for everything.
Mm-hmm. Start from
Um,
scratch, clean
yeah, it
slate.
was definitely a clean slate start. I was in a relationship for 8 years that ended. some family and friends that those relationships ended. Some of them actually circled back, like them being able to see me happy, see me in my
Hmm.
true self. My
Sometimes it just takes time.
Yeah, it just takes time, and like those folks are like, "Oh my gosh, you look so happy now," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I am. How are you?" But the ups and downs definitely come with trying to really rebound from the job perspective of not having a job, and then getting my mind, trying to wrap my mind around, do I disclose when I get this new job so that I don't
Yeah.
get fired later, or do I not and just push through? Like those were kind of those were like the hardest moments, at least mentally, trying
Hmm.
to figure out what to do. But the ups were seeing my changes, feeling my changes, looking in the mirror like, yep,
Yeah, we all know that feeling.
yep,
Do you
yep,
remember the moment you took your first testosterone shot and that the feeling?
yep.
Can you describe that feeling?
It was amazing. It was a little bit of anxiety, like, okay,
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing
here goes, here
it.
goes, right? Um, I'm not too terrified of needles or anything, so like that part
Yeah.
wasn't an issue for me. Um, I was surrounded by friends at the time, and so it was just a beautiful moment, and I was just really excited. I was really excited, and I also remember the first time I looked in the mirror and saw me. The first time I looked in the mirror and I saw Greg, and I was like, "There you are," right? Like not looking through who I was to see Greg, but like seeing Greg right there in the mirror, like, wow,
We made it.
yeah, we're here. Like, wow, everything's falling apart around you, but look at you, man. Look at
This
you.
is
And it
what
was
it's
just,
about.
yeah, and it was just like it was just the best feeling. It was the best feeling.
And do you have a close relationship with your family?
Um, a few family members I'm pretty close with. My dad has been on that roller coaster ride of support,
Yeah, that's just how dads
throughout
are.
throughout everything, and some of it has been trying to have understanding,
Mhm.
and also defending me in some spaces, and like understanding like how to defend me, and just
Yeah.
kind of that kind of back and forth thing. But I think the first time that he introduced me as his son to someone, I've told people before, I have no idea what that person's name was. I don't even remember why we were being introduced, because all I heard was my dad say, "This is my son," and I was like, "You did it, like it just
Yeah.
happened." So I'm like, sorry, whoever I was meeting, I don't remember you at all. But it was a big moment,
Yeah.
so that was really cool.
Imprinted in there.
Yeah,
I remember
definitely.
my first time my dad acknowledged my chosen gender. It was in a birthday card, and I just sat there and read the card and just cried.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
And then the first time that I have a stepson, and so the first time my dad texted me Happy Father's Day
Aw.
I was like, me, this guy. I was like, you too. Like what? So it's just, again, it's like those moments are like really neat. More families coming around with everything that's happening, in the upfront media in their faces. Folks are asking more questions, or at least open to
Mhm.
the conversations. So that's good. Sometimes I have capacity, sometimes I don't, but at least
Yeah.
I feel like that's an attempt of trying.
If
So
there's an openness to educate yourself,
right, right,
please let them. As much as you don't want to talk about it,
yes,
and it's your business, you don't have to talk about it. But if somebody is open to listen, telling your story and explaining things any way you want can help a lot. You never know what it'll do for somebody.
yeah. And we also, we do have our social support groups, right? I make sure to say social support groups, because at another time we do plan on adding like a clinical aspect to it. But right
Hmm.
now it's just social, it's just a gathering of folks. We also do that for parents and families, right?
Oh, okay, that's
So
awesome.
parents who are trying to understand, family members who are supportive, and just like, but I need to know what to say. I need to know what not, how not to mess up, and all that. We have support groups for family and parents as well.
We need more stuff like that around here for parents,
Yeah.
specifically because of all of this
Mm-hmm.
legislation that's going on.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Bill 4624 that we're having to deal with at the moment?
It's very scary.
Yeah, because
Um,
there's
There's so many
you
parts to
don't know.
pieces.
Yeah, you
There's
don't
so
know
many
where
parts and
it's going.
pieces. And while it was very much initially said to be focused on caring for the youth and making sure, all of the things that I completely disagree with,
Hmm.
it's the things that have been added to it that are just like,
They're just sneaking in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
like adding the mandatory reporting from the school systems, adding now that state benefits won't cover for adult transition care, and
Yeah.
it's like, I have a state. I'm finally in a space where I'm working. I have a state job. So you're telling me that now that I'm finally, getting to this place of financial stability, now I'm gonna have to go back to paying full
Yep.
cost for this? Like, what? So it's so many parts and pieces that just really don't make sense. The Fourth Circuit Supreme Court has already said what they will and won't allow. So I'm like, we're setting ourselves up for all sorts of lawsuits, and as a parent, I don't want anyone else making decisions for my child.
Yeah.
And that was part of when I went to testify. I was like, at the end of the day, I'm going to do what I think is best for my child.
Yes.
Period. That is a discussion between the caregivers of my son and us. We make those conversations. It really doesn't matter what anybody says in that space, because it is unfortunate, but parents have had to make decisions that include, is this legal or not, and ways to make sure they take care of their kids.
Yeah.
Whether that's stealing food or whatever a parent has to do to take care of their child. And you don't want to push a parent to that extreme to have to say, I will do whatever.
Yeah.
But understand, parents are going to do what they need to do to take care of their children. And
making it more difficult to not
that
gonna,
doesn't need to be we don't need to make a law about it, especially when there is medical evidence, which was constantly said there's no evidence, whatever. But there is medical evidence
you
that
can
shows
present
the
them with
benefit.
as much as you want to present them with. They're
Exactly.
not gonna read
It doesn't. None of
yeah.
it matters, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
it's there. The evidence is there. You can look through the parts you do and don't want to, but the fact remains, it's there. There are people who study best practice, who understand what are the best things to do, and at the end of the day, South Carolina is not creating or causing any additional harm to kids that are transitioning, that are understanding who they are, that have the support from parents, and maybe some who don't have support from parents. That no additional harm is happening. The harm is coming from the bullies.
Yeah.
Which, not just the bullies they see in school every day, but the political bullies that are making laws as well.
Continuously.
It's it gets tiring. It gets tiring doing this fight.
It feels repetitive, but
ever so often, we're doing this fight of like, yes, we exist, yes, we're real, yes, we deserve equal rights, all of these things, and repeat. Gets tough.
do you feel yourself having any reservations regarding like attending school functions for your child and stuff like that? Because I know with my kids, with everything going on, if say they have an awards day or an assembly or something like that, I get so nervous to show up because I don't want to cause them harm or bring
Right.
attention to myself or anything like that. So
I
it's a paranoia that I'm currently struggling with.
Yeah, it definitely was earlier in my transition. I definitely had those moments where I was very concerned about me showing up affecting my child. Um, I'm to a place now where I don't care, so I'm gonna be there to support regardless. Um, and I think it also opens up, again, it goes back to opening up those lines of communication and those conversation pieces. We have TAA, the nonprofit. We also have Misconception, which is our for-profit business where we teach folks. Like, we do the conversations, we have the hard talks. So um, sometimes I'll throw on a Misconception shirt or have something that says that on it. So if there's any questions, then it's like, hey, we can talk later. If y'all need some folks come talk to your teachers, come talk to us.
And how can we
We
find
can
out
do
more
that.
about Misconception?
So Misconceptions Misconceptions website is misconception.com, and the first C is actually with a K. So MISK for conception. So misconception.com, you can see some of the conversations that we have, and then get with us in the calendar if you want to know more. We cover a lot of issues, right? So we definitely talk about trans issues, other LGBTQIA plus issues.
There's a lot of letters in there.
Yeah. And then we, DEI came out. It was very much black and white, but we know that DEI goes beyond black and white. It also includes belonging. It also includes so many other like parts and pieces. It's not just diversity, equity, inclusion. Like there's a whole lot of pieces. So we actually um, kind of work with organizations and what do you want to talk about? What do you want to work through? And then we create a training plan.
I love that.
Yeah. So sometimes we've done lunch and learns. So we've done like 1 hour lunch and learns. We've done like 6 month deep work where we like do some really, really deep work into what if an organization's ready to change and really make a shift and intentional change, um, and we just kind of set it up however folks need it.
Okay,
So
I'm gonna check that out for me.
yeah.
How are we still recording? Is it good? Awesome, awesome. And you run Misconception with your partner, correct?
Yep. We both lead Misconception NTAA. Like it really was a matter of, and again, kind of going back early on in my transition, I was asked to be like on a lot of panels, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially Pride. It
Oh
was
yeah.
like, oh, Pride's coming. We've got everyone here, but we need someone trans. Greg, can you do it? Sure. Greg, can you do it? Sure. And it was like, okay, uh, what else should I be getting from this panel? Well, we got lunch, and if you want to attend the rest of the conference, you can. And at first, I was like, this is great. It's networking,
Mm-hmm.
connecting with people. And then I'll never forget, I got up on a panel, did my part, came back to my seat, and somebody left a note inside my notepad and said, stop doing for free.
I've been told that several times.
And I was like, okay, and they said, we'll talk. And ever since then, I was like, okay, let me stop doing stuff for free
There you go.
and tell me how this works. What do I do? And so they're like, well, do you have a business? Do you need? I was like, well, we got the nonprofit. Do you have a business? We can, and it started from there. Someone saw something and they're like, stop doing panels. You can do this. And so started with panels, and then it evolved into like longer sessions, breakout sessions at conferences, to keynotes and kind of everything, all kind of things in between. And so both T and I we both do those things. So
Tell us about how you met your partner. How was that?
oh, that's hilarious. We met through their ex,
Okay.
which I didn't know that at the time. But we met through their ex and at church. Like it was
And at church.
it's a beautiful thing. So I had been attending Garden of Grace United Church of Christ for quite some time, and there was a member there who said, I want you to meet. Well, actually, what they said was they had noticed me and my ex split, and they were like, they're not coming around anymore. Did y'all split up? And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, we split. He said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I want you to meet someone. And I'm like, you didn't take a breath. You sure you're sorry to hear that? But they kept saying they wanted me to meet someone, and I was just like, you know what? I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done with this whole love thing. I'm done with relationships. Like, I'm not doing this. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
when you're
not
not
interested.
looking for it is when it
You know,
shows up.
and the thing is, I told myself that. I said, like, I had it kind of in the back of my mind, like,
Mhm.
if love shows up, don't disregard it, right?
Yeah.
But externally, I was like, nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. Ironically, my partner was kind of like, you want me to meet somebody? I don't want to meet anybody that you want to introduce me to. Like we were both like,
Uh-huh.
no. Um, there was someone in the church that was very community oriented, was really about tying people together. And they passed away, and so we had a memorial service, and that's actually how we met
At
because
the memorial
we met
service.
at the memorial service, and it was like apparently before I said hi to them, I took my glasses off and cleaned them. I had been crying, I couldn't really see. I was like, I want to see before I'd be like, oh, okay. I was like, hold on a second,
I don't want
let
these
me
foggy
yeah,
ones.
let me see. I was like, oh, okay, how you doing? And it really just kind of it just went from there. And it wasn't some time had passed before I actually knew that the person that introduced us was their ex. And I said, it's good that I didn't know that because that probably would have just
It
made
made it a
it
little
even more
awkward.
awkward. But also it was cool because they were best friends. They were best friends, and so it was actually nice to see someone who could be best friends with their ex.
Mhm.
And in the space I was in initially of like not really sure relationship wise, I was like, okay, but also you're good people. So
Yeah.
when we were as we started talking about the business and talking about helping folks before we talked about business, we were really talking about how to help the community and how to be engaged with community, how much we both feel really drawn to that. All of those things was just like,
That's
yeah,
so awesome.
teamwork. We can do this. We can do this.
And how does it feel to have a partner who's so supportive?
Oh, it's great. It's really great. I don't have to explain why. um, like if we see someone that needs something in the moment, I don't have to explain why. Let's stop and go address that. You
Hmm.
know, yes, we both have those hearts. We were both first responders at points in our lives, and so we're very quick to just up and respond to stuff. And so we've had to work on boundaries and things like
Hmm.
that. But again, I don't have to explain it. Even if I see somebody with a flat tire on the side of the road, I don't have to say, "Hey, is it okay if we stop?" Hey, like we know that we want to stop and help that person, and I don't have to explain it. In previous relationships, I would have to explain why. You don't have to change their tires. You don't have to do. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but this is the middle of the street. Like they need to move. At least let me push them out of the way, just because the safety side of me knows it's safer to take that moment, get them out of the way, and let traffic open back up.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so it's definitely nice to have someone who understands that, who gets that, that sees that the more engaged with community we are as a community, the more we can help each other. Just really both seeing that same vision. It's very nice to have that. It's less to, like I said, it's less to explain,
That's
and more work
beautiful.
gets done. Like more
Yeah.
things get done because you have two folks that are really thinking big picture, and then we're like, okay, who do we know that we can connect this work to? Who do we know that we can make this work
Hmm.
with? And the more work we do, the more people we meet, the more connections we can make.
That part.
So it works. It works good.
Are you guys excited for Outfest? Are y'all going to be attending Outfest this year?
I am excited for Outfest. I have another engagement on that day, but I'll probably will go in the evening.
Okay.
And I think we're gonna get some other from our volunteer base to see if folks want to come out with us and like enjoy and be there because
Awesome.
it's
It's
fun.
coming up, you guys.
June 1st.
First or second. I'll put it right here. All right. Yeah, I'm really excited for Outfest.
Yeah.
We've got some big plans going on, so
Yes.
it's gonna
Yes.
be great. The pageant's gonna be really cool. Have you
I'm
guys attended in
excited.
the past
Oh
before?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Did you guys go
Yeah.
last year?
We went last year. I feel like this year might be. I don't want to say the first year we've missed, or maybe the second. But yeah, because we've gone every year.
Mhm.
We've been
Sometimes
here.
I feel like I like Outfest more than our Big Pride because it's much more intimate
Yeah,
within our little community here.
it definitely has a different energy with it. And I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, that smaller, it's more intimate, typically more local folks maybe.
Hmm.
Um,
More Midlands
yeah,
grown.
more
Yeah.
Midlands folks. Yeah, whereas folks really show up,
Hmm.
big stage for Pride.
And they want to see those names they got booked at the Big
Yes,
Pride.
yes, absolutely.
If you could pick any dream headliner to show up at South Carolina Pride in October, who would you pick?
Oh wow. Oh, dream headliner for Pride.
I'm sure they are not in the budget, but I want Kim Petras. I want Kim Petras.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, Big fan of Angelica Ross and the work
Yes.
that she's doing and all the stuff that she's doing, especially with Trans Tech Summit Enterprises. That
She
that
makes me want to do better. Every time
it
I
might
see her
be.
post something, I'm like, I need to
Yeah,
do better.
I think that would be it. I think that would be the person I would like to see here. And really, she comes so much from that grassroots lens,
Hmm.
and a lot of the work and community that we have had to do here in South Carolina is grassroots led.
Hmm.
And so it's like you said, she's motivational and
She's a
she's
boss. That's what I love. Like when
yes,
she starts speaking, you know she knows what she's talking about.
yes, and it's just that connectivity piece of like I understand, I've been there, and I also know like here are some steps you can take to do for improvement, for self improvement, for state improvement, for community improvement. So that would definitely be the headliner one because I feel like she can motivate us.
Oh yeah. Even if she just speaks on the mic for a minute, I know I'm gonna get hyped. All right, I think that was pretty much it for the interview. I think
Okay,
we got some good stuff in here, and I've got a couple more questions for you before we end it completely.
okay.
So, if you could leave a message for any trans youth who may be watching this,
Hmm.
what would you tell them?
You know exactly who you are. Don't let someone tell you you don't know. And if exactly who you are today is not exactly who you are tomorrow, that is okay too. Many of us adults are still learning who we are as we live and go through life day by day. But you know who you are, trust it, be the free spirited person you are, and you'll find yourself.
Do you have a message for families of trans youth who may be watching this?
You may not know or understand, but don't stop being supportive. Support doesn't have to look one way, and the best way to figure out how to be supportive is ask, what can I do to support you? Kids are kids, so there may be some things that you're like, no, I'm not doing that. But find out how you can be supportive by asking them what support means to them and do that. And when you need support, remember TAA is here, and we have other parents who are trying to figure it out. They have their kids range from various ages and various length of time, and knowing that understanding their trans identity. So just be that support, and if you need it, come find that support.
I love it. I love it. One more question. Any of those legislators who are writing these anti-LGBTQIA bills against us who may be watching this, and I know some of you are because I've been sending you all these links and they've been getting more views. Do you have a message for them?
It is very important that you understand the difference and that you are able to separate church from state. The beliefs that you have, the faith that you have, the ethics and morals that you have as an individual are yours to have and to hold. The job that you have as an elected official is to represent your constituents. Be able to separate those things. Your faith will get you where you need to go. Doing what you are being tasked to do for your constituents is the right move to make. And it will align with your faith if you do the right thing by your constituents, not by your own self, not by your own being, not simply by your faith, but by your constituents who elected you. And if you're making moves because you're worried about the next election, you're already not focused on the now and the moment and what's happening. I think that's it.
Beautifully put. Everybody give a round of applause for Greg. Thank you so much again for meeting with me and telling everybody your story. I know it's going to touch a lot of hearts out there because I almost started crying after that last statement. That was really good.
Yeah, well, thank you. I would like to add, just because, if you want to know more about my story, I'm going to gift you this.
Oh my God.
I do have a book. Just did a quick run of what my transition was like in all the different phases, stages, from policing to becoming a dad to understanding life in general. I've had a lot of people tell me it brings them hope and understanding. It's called Audacity, Memoirs of Transitioning. It is available on Amazon. I also have some books, and I'm actually trying to set up a book signing day at some point. So just be on the lookout for that.
I love it. Yes. If you need any help setting anything up, let me know.
Okay.
That's so cool. It's so exciting. I'm going to read this and I'm going to leave a review for you guys.
Yes.
So, yes, super exciting.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys tune in for next week's episode. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.